I'm really glad you're here. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever bought something not because you truly needed it, but because the house felt a little too quiet? Maybe it was a new kitchen gadget, a fancy jacket, a subscription you never opened. You told yourself, I deserve this. And you do. But sometimes, spending isn't about joy. It's about filling space, filling silence. This video is not about judgment. It's about freedom. Because in retirement, peace of mind is worth more than anything money can buy. And the way we spend, especially now, has the power to either protect that peace or quietly chip away at it. So today, let's talk about how to spend smart, not just to save money, but to live lighter, lighter in your home, lighter in your heart, and freer in this next chapter of life. Grab a warm cup of coffee or tea. Let's have a real conversation. You're not alone, and this journey can still be everything you hoped it would be. Let's begin. 1. The house that grew too big. For many of us, retirement brings the dream of a bigger, better home. Maybe it's a country house with a wide porch or a beachside retreat where the grandkids can visit. After decades of work and sacrifice, it feels like a reward we've earned. But here's what often happens. What feels like a dream can slowly become a burden. A larger home means more to clean, more to fix, higher taxes, insurance, and utility bills. When you're living on a fixed income, those extra costs add up and quietly chip away at your peace of mind. Many people tell me they bought a bigger place so their family could visit. But realistically, how often do they come? Maybe once or twice a year? In the meantime, you're maintaining empty rooms and paying bills for space that doesn't serve your daily life. Downsizing isn't failure, it's freedom. A smaller home can mean fewer chores, lower costs, and more energy for things you love. Travel, rest, or simply enjoying each day. Before buying that dream house, ask yourself, will it lighten your life or weigh it down? Because in retirement, less house often means more peace. 2. Buying to feel better. Sometimes spending isn't about the item, it's about the feeling. You're home alone on a quiet afternoon. The silence lingers a little too long. You scroll through your phone, and suddenly, a new jacket, gadget, or kitchen tool seems like just the thing to brighten your day. And in that moment, it does. It feels like a reward. You tell yourself, I've earned this. And you have. But here's where it gets tricky, when spending becomes a way to cope with something deeper. In retirement, we often have more time than we're used to. And with time comes space for feelings we once drowned out with busyness, loneliness, boredom, even grief. Shopping can feel like a quick fix, but what starts as an occasional treat can turn into a quiet habit that leaves clutter in your home and dents in your savings. There's nothing wrong with small comforts. But before you click buy, pause, and ask yourself, am I trying to fill a cart or a feeling? Because often, what we really crave isn't a new item. It's connection, a phone call, a visit, a shared laugh, something real. Spending can lift your mood for a moment. But belonging, that lasts, and it costs nothing at all. 3. The kindness that costs too much. As parents, our instinct is to help. Even when our kids are grown, we still want to protect them, support them, and ease their struggles. And sometimes that means giving money for a down payment, covering student loans, co-signing a car, or stepping in during hard times. It feels right in the moment. But over time, generosity without limits can quietly put your own retirement at risk. I've spoken with many retirees who gave again and again until their savings began to shrink faster than expected. They didn't regret helping their children, but they hadn't planned for how much it would cost them. And here's the hard truth. Your financial security matters too. If you dip into your nest egg too often, there may not be enough left when you need it most. Helping doesn't always mean saying yes. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set a boundary. Encourage your children, offer guidance, and be honest about what you can give without putting your own future in danger. Because if you run out of resources, they may end up supporting you later. And that's not the future anyone wants. You've worked too hard for too long to spend your retirement worrying about bills. Be kind, but also be wise. Your well-being is a gift to your family, too. 4. The subscriptions you forgot. Not all spending feels like spending. Some of it just slips quietly through the cracks, month after month. It's the gym membership you haven't used since last spring, the streaming service you signed up for to watch one show, the magazine that goes straight from the mailbox to the recycling bin. These are the small, silent drains on your retirement income, and they're easier to ignore than you might think. Back when you were working, maybe they didn't matter. A few dollars here and there felt manageable, but in retirement, every dollar has more purpose. It's not just about saving money, it's about making sure your spending matches your life now, not the habits of years past. Here's a simple step. Once a year, sit down with your bank or credit card statements and do a subscription audit. Ask yourself, do I still use this? Does it add value to my life? If the answer is no, or even just a hesitant maybe, it might be time to cancel. No guilt, just clarity. Releasing old expenses doesn't mean giving up pleasure. It means giving your money a job that actually serves you. A quiet afternoon reviewing your bills could free up enough each month to treat yourself to something that really matters, or better yet, bring a little more peace to your day-to-day. 5. The hobby that got out of hand. Retirement opens the door to rediscovery, to try things we never had time for. Photography, gardening, painting, fishing, woodworking. Each hobby holds a promise of joy. And that's a wonderful thing. Staying curious keeps us alive. But sometimes excitement turns into overspending. You start with good intentions, then suddenly there's a garage full of gear you barely use. I once knew a man who bought top-of-the-line fishing equipment, rods, reels, tackle, even a boat. He pictured quiet weekends on the lake. In the end, he went twice. The gear sat untouched, a quiet reminder of money spent on a dream that didn't stick. It happens more than you think. You don't need to own the best tools to enjoy a hobby. Before you spend, try borrowing or renting. Ask yourself, do I love the hobby or just the idea of it? Because fulfillment doesn't come from expensive gear. It comes from how often you show up and truly enjoy the moment. In this stage of life, joy should come with lightness, not regret. Explore freely, but invest wisely. Let your happiness grow from experiences, not receipts. 6. The vacation that became a bill. When people picture retirement, they often imagine travel, finally seeing the places they talked about for years. Maybe it's lying on a beach with your feet in the sand, taking that river cruise through Europe, or renting a quiet cabin in the mountains for a month of peace and fresh air. And why not? After a lifetime of schedules, stress, and responsibilities, the freedom to go where you want, when you want, is one of the greatest joys of this new chapter. But here's where things can take a wrong turn. That excitement, the dream of getting away, can lead to decisions that look smart at first, but end up costing more than they give. I'm talking about timeshares, vacation packages, or long-term travel commitments that sound like deals, but quietly lock you into more than you bargained for. You've probably heard the pitch. For just this much up front, you'll get a guaranteed vacation every year, forever. It sounds great. You're thinking, this will save money in the long run. We'll always have a place to go. But what the brochures don't highlight are the hidden fees, monthly dues, yearly maintenance charges, unpredictable property taxes, and the hassle of scheduling. Suddenly, that flexible retirement travel dream becomes a fixed obligation. You're stuck going to the same place at the same time, whether you still want to or not. I know a couple, Jack and Linda, who bought into a timeshare in Florida. At first they loved it, but after a few years, their health made flying harder. They started preferring cooler climates. The grandkids' school schedule made visits tough, but the bills kept coming, and when they tried to sell it, they realized the market wasn't what they expected. They felt trapped. Travel in retirement can absolutely be joyful, but it works best when it's flexible. Today, there are so many ways to explore the world without long-term commitments. Services like Airbnb or Vrbo let you choose when and where you go and how much you spend. You can stay in new places each year, take shorter trips more often, or even travel spontaneously when deals appear. No contracts, no pressure, just freedom. Before signing anything that locks you in, ask yourself, is this vacation plan giving me options or obligations? Is it giving me joy or just more responsibility disguised as luxury? The truth is, you deserve rest. You deserve new experiences. But most of all, you deserve control over how you spend your time, your money, and your energy. Travel should lift you up, not weigh you down. 7. The gifts we can't resell. It starts with something small. A painting that reminds you of your childhood. A set of china you inherited from your mother. A beautiful vase found at a weekend market. At first, it feels like you're preserving something meaningful, and maybe you are. But over time, those individual items begin to grow into shelves full of keepsakes, closets full of collectibles, and storage bins packed with things that once sparked joy, but now simply take up space. In retirement, this pattern is more common than we talk about. With more time and often more space, we begin to gather. Not because we're greedy or careless, but because the things we collect carry stories. They remind us of people, places, feelings we don't want to lose. And yet, the longer we hold on to these things, the harder it becomes to separate memory from material. I once visited a friend named Carol who had an entire room filled with porcelain figurines. Each one had a story, one from her honeymoon, another from a family trip to Europe. Several were gifts from her children. But she told me quietly, I don't even dust them anymore. I just feel guilty giving them away. That's the trap. It's not the stuff. It's the emotion behind it. Letting go can feel like letting go of a part of yourself. But here's something to consider. What if your peace of mind is more valuable than the collection? What if the freedom to breathe easier, to clean less, to live lighter, what if that is the better gift? The truth is, most collectibles don't hold their value, and even if they do, reselling them takes time, patience, and emotional labor. Often, we hold on to things not because we love them, but because we don't know what else to do with them, or because we feel like we're supposed to. Try this instead. Choose a few items that truly matter, that bring you joy today, not just memories of yesterday. Keep those with pride. And then, one drawer at a time, let go of the rest. Donate them. Share them with someone who will use them, or simply make peace with the decision to move on. Ask yourself this: if I had to move tomorrow, what would I really take with me? What things still reflect who I am now, not just who I used to be? Simplifying your surroundings doesn't mean erasing your story. It means honoring it and choosing to carry it in your heart, not your storage unit. Because the greatest legacy you leave isn't in what you own. It's in how you lived. And often, living well begins with letting go. 8. The plan we keep putting off. No one likes to think about needing help. In our minds, retirement is the time when we finally get to live life on our own terms. Independent, active, free. And for a while, that's often true. But life doesn't always follow the script we've written. A fall, a diagnosis, a slow change in what we're able to manage on our own. These things can sneak up quietly or arrive suddenly, and if we haven't prepared, They don't just take a toll on our health, they take a toll on our finances, our families, and our peace of mind. One of the most overlooked financial mistakes in retirement is ignoring long-term care planning. It's not a fun topic, but it's one of the most important. Because the reality is this: Medicare, which many rely on, does not cover most long-term care. It may pay for a short stay in a nursing facility after a hospital visit or a few hours of home health care. But it won't cover ongoing assistance with things like bathing, dressing, or daily supervision. That cost, whether it's in-home care or assisted living, often comes straight out of your pocket. I've known people who saved carefully for decades, had strong pensions, owned their homes outright. But when care was suddenly needed, their savings began to drain at a rate they never imagined. And with each passing month, the stress mounted, not just for them, but for their children, who had to step in and make hard decisions on the fly. Now, planning ahead doesn't mean buying the most expensive insurance policy. For some, long-term care insurance makes sense. For others, it might involve setting aside funds, talking to a financial advisor, or meeting with an elder care attorney to create a plan that fits your life. But the key is to talk about it now, while you're clear-minded and capable of deciding what you want. Ask yourself, if I needed help tomorrow, where would I want to be? Who would I want involved? What do I want them to know? Having these conversations with your spouse, your children, or even a trusted friend is not a burden. It's a gift. It gives your loved ones clarity instead of confusion, direction instead of guesswork. Planning ahead won't guarantee that everything goes perfectly, but it does give you something powerful: options. It gives you dignity, and it keeps you in the driver's seat for as long as possible. So don't wait for a crisis. Make the plan now, while it's still your choice to make. 9. When spending replaces connection. Retirement is often imagined as a peaceful reward. No more alarm clocks, no deadlines, just time, your own time. And in the beginning, that can feel like a deep exhale after a lifetime of holding your breath. But over time, the stillness that once felt like freedom can start to feel like something else. The days stretch longer. The phone rings less. Old friends move or pass away. The kids grow busy with their own lives, and suddenly, the quiet isn't peaceful, it's heavy. In that silence, it's easy to start reaching for something, anything that brings a spark. A trip to the store, a click on a website, a package at the door. The act of buying something becomes a way to feel occupied, to feel a little more alive, even if just for a moment. And there's no shame in that. We all seek comfort in different ways. But when spending becomes a substitute for connection, it can quietly turn into a cycle. Temporary joy, followed by emptiness, followed by regret, and then another purchase to fill that same space. This kind of emotional spending doesn't always show up in big, flashy ways. It shows up in little moments: a new sweater, another kitchen gadget, a subscription box, a meal out that wasn't really about the food. And while none of those things are wrong, the question is, what are we really trying to fill? Because often it's not about the item, it's about the feeling, the longing to be seen, to be included, to be remembered. Here's the truth that few people say out loud. Retirement can be lonely. And loneliness doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But there are better ways to soothe that feeling than spending. Pick up the phone and call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Write a letter. Join a book club or a walking group. Visit your local senior center. Volunteer. Go sit in a park and simply be where people are. What we're often missing isn't something to buy. It's someone to talk to. A smile, a shared laugh, the simple joy of being with others who truly listen. These moments of belonging fill us in ways no object ever could. So the next time you feel the urge to shop, pause and gently ask yourself, what am I really looking for? If the answer is connection, go where that lives. Because the opposite of loneliness isn't activity, it's community. And the good news is, it's never too late to find your way back to it. Bonus, living light, living wise. As we step into retirement, the world doesn't always slow down with us. While we may be ready to live with more intention, society continues to move fast, spend big, and chase the next new thing. And yet, something inside us begins to shift. We no longer measure life by how much we own, but by how deeply we feel, how gently we live, and how wisely we choose. That shift is quiet, but powerful. It's the difference between living full and living heavy. You see, every decision we make in retirement, from what we buy to what we keep, shapes more than just our finances. It shapes the way we experience each day. A cluttered home can quietly become a cluttered mind. A budget stretched thin by habits we no longer need can become a source of daily anxiety. But it doesn't have to be that way, and it's never too late to turn the page. When we pause and reflect on what truly adds value to our life, the answers often surprise us. It's not the newest phone or the biggest house. It's a quiet morning without stress. It's the feeling of peace when the bills are paid and the fridge is full. It's the memory of a good conversation with a friend. It's knowing you made choices that protect your dignity and ease the burden on your family later. Living wisely isn't about being frugal for the sake of saving. It's about spending in a way that honors your present and protects your future. It's about having the courage to say, I don't need more, I need better, I need clearer, I need enough. That kind of wisdom comes not from a financial advisor, but from experience, your experience. You've lived through ups and downs, seen things come and go, learned which dreams are worth chasing and which ones quietly let go. And sometimes, the greatest act of self-care is simply deciding that less truly is more. Fewer subscriptions, fewer impulse purchases, fewer obligations to a house that's too big or a timeshare you no longer love. And in their place, more time, more energy, more freedom. You gain the room to spend money where it truly matters: quality food, meaningful travel, health and wellness, or maybe just small joys. A dinner with loved ones, a comfortable chair by the window, a quiet walk through a nearby park. You also give something priceless to your children and grandchildren: clarity. When your finances are organized, when your possessions are intentional, and when your long-term care plan is in place, you're giving your family peace. You're saying, I've taken care of what matters, so you don't have to worry later. That is love in its most practical, most enduring form. So if you're watching this and wondering, where do I start? Begin small. Pick one drawer to declutter, review one monthly bill, make one phone call to someone you miss. These tiny steps are not about money, they're about momentum, about reclaiming the sense that this chapter of your life still belongs to you. You have nothing left to prove. What you have and who you are is already enough. Now is the time to protect that truth, to let go of what no longer serves you, to build a retirement not just free from work, but full of meaning, connection, and lightness. Living light is not about doing without, it's about choosing with care. And living wise? That's the real wealth of this season of life. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you're still here, it tells me something important. You care deeply about how you live this next chapter of life, and that's a beautiful thing. Today, we've talked about more than just money. We've talked about peace of mind, about protecting your energy, about letting go of what no longer serves you in your spending, your space, and your heart. Because retirement isn't just the end of something. It's the beginning of a more intentional, more meaningful way of living. You don't have to have it all figured out. No one does. And if you've made some of the mistakes we talked about today, you're not alone. Every single one of us is learning as we go. What matters is what you do next. Maybe that's making a phone call. Maybe it's canceling a subscription. Maybe it's just sitting quietly and asking yourself, what truly matters to me now? Let that be your compass. If you found something helpful in this video, I hope you'll take it with you. And if you know someone else who's walking this same path, maybe a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, share this with them. We're all figuring it out together, and wisdom grows stronger when it's shared. Until next time, take good care of yourself, live gently, live wisely, and remember, you are not alone on this journey.